150 years ago, Bloomington was a peaceful rural community perched above the banks of the Minnesota River. But 1960 would be a pivotal year. Voters approved a home rule charter, transforming Bloomington from a village into a city. The small town was being transformed by rapid growth and expansion. Since 1960, Bloomington has shifted from a fast-growing community of young families into a city with a vital hospitality industry, thriving economy, and long-time dedicated residents. Let's look at how these changes and the decisions made by city leaders have shaped Bloomington then and now. In 1960, Bloomington was experiencing one of the fastest growth rates in the nation, expanding from 3,500 people to 50,000 in 20 years. By 1980, another 31,000 residents were added. But Bloomington's population growth slowed down, leveling off at around 85,000 people. The average Bloomington resident was a teenager in the 60s, just 19 years old. The average age matured to 26 years in 1980, and today, Bloomington citizens have hit middle age with an average age of 40. Schools sprouted up to serve the families of the 1960s. 21 schools opened, including a new high school. School enrollment peaked at 26,000 students in 1971. As the young baby boomers graduated, enrollment dropped to 15,000 in 1980, prompting 16 school closings. Public school enrollment has stabilized in recent years at approximately 11,000 students. The most pressing issue for Bloomington in the years leading up to 1960? The private wells that homeowners relied on were contaminated. City leaders rallied to install a modern water and sewer system, resulting in an All-America City Award in 1960. 20 years later, the city faced a major league challenge when both the Twins and Vikings moved out of Metropolitan Stadium. Bloomington's home field advantage was over until the city championed plans for what would become the Mall of America. Now that Bloomington is nearly developed, the challenge has shifted to renewing the community. A prime example of redevelopment is Bloomington Central Station, a 43-acre project incorporating residential, office, and retail uses, all centered around a light rail transit station. All the business that will fit was the slogan in 1960 as Bloomington entered a period of accelerated economic growth. The city invested millions of dollars to help develop industrial property on what had been farmland. The effort paid off. 43,000 people were employed here by 1970. The local job market grew steadily, reaching 54,000 by 1980. These days, workers outnumber residents, with 110,000 employees in Bloomington. Back in the 60s, companies like Toro, Donaldson Incorporated, and John Deere were the largest employers in town. The 1980s saw Control Data, with its supercomputers, split up into companies such as Ceridian, Polar Semiconductor, Seagate, and Plato Learning. On the west side of town, the first Normandale office towers were under construction. Today, Bloomington's retail and hotel business is the city's largest employer. Bloomington's hospitality business was in its infancy in 1960. Just 247 hotel rooms were located here. By 1980, hospitality had become a major industry, nearly 4,000 rooms in 17 major hotels. Now Bloomington has 7,200 hotel rooms, more than the downtowns of Minneapolis and St. Paul combined. When residents of the 1960s wanted to shop, they went towards Southtown, the area's first shopping center. The Oxborough redevelopment was a shopping magnet in the 1980s. Today, they're both overshadowed by the Mall of America, the nation's largest retail and entertainment complex. Bloomington's parks were just beginning to emerge in the 1960s. The goal was to place a park in every neighborhood. There were already 1,300 acres of parkland by 1960. By 1980, the city had made strides in reaching its goal with 5,600 acres of parkland. Today, nearly one-third of the city, more than 8,000 acres, is devoted to parks and open spaces. All of that parkland is an attractive venue for recreation. In the 1960s, the Bloomington Athletic Association was on its way to becoming the largest volunteer youth sports organization in the country. In the 1980s, golf was popular with adults at Dwan Golf Course, while their kids played hockey at Bloomington Ice Garden. Today, walking and biking trails are the big draw, like the newest trail along East Bush Lake Road. The automobile changed Bloomington's landscape. In the 1960s, Interstate 494 was completed along Bloomington's northern boundary, while I-35W finally bridged the Minnesota River. In the 1980s and 90s, County Road 169 was upgraded to a 4-lane highway on the city's western border. Today, with our freeways congested, light rail transit has become a popular form of transportation. To put the increased traffic in perspective, the interchange at Interstates 35W and 494 counted 45,000 cars a day in 1960. Traffic doubled to 81,000 in 1980 and then tripled to 239,000 cars daily today. Another transportation landmark, Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, went through a massive reconstruction in the early 1960s that included construction of the Lindbergh Terminal. In 1980, passenger traffic was exceeding expectations, leading to a study on whether to build a larger airport elsewhere. A decision to keep the airport at its current location led to another reconstruction effort in recent years. The airport has transformed nearly every aspect of the facility and changed Bloomington as well. The secret to Bloomington's success over the past 50 years, in a word, location. The city's geographic position has long been a factor in its success. Sitting above the banks of the Minnesota River, at the crossroads of 2 major freeways, and next door to the nation's 10th busiest airport. City leaders have understood how to leverage the city's most distinctive asset to position it for the future. Moving Bloomington forward will require recognizing trends, developing a common vision, and involving residents in reaching community consensus on common goals. The Bloomington of tomorrow can be a unique, attractive, and welcoming place where people will continue to choose to live, work, and play.